Lamar Jackson is talking. That's right. Lamar Jackson is talking, and he is talking up Vegas because Vegas is starting to agree with him. During an interview with Cold as Balls with Kevin Hart, and yes, that is the name, Lamar Jackson has talked about the Ravens' ability to get back to the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson recently said, quote, "We're extremely close," he said. He further went on to say, quote, "As I've been getting older in the league, my mindset has been different and the game has gotten a lot easier for me." Lamar Jackson, to his credit, as we all know, is a two-time MVP. I think should have been a three-time regular season MVP. I think he should have won it last year over Josh Allen. He had by far his best year last year, had 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and honestly would have won the Super Bowl were it not for Mark Andrews. Let me say this about Lamar Jackson. I agree with him, but not for the reason he thinks. Lamar Jackson, this time last year, I want to point this out. I was extremely low on him. Everybody blamed Zay Flowers for the Ravens AFC title game loss to the Chiefs 2 seasons ago at this point. It was Lamar Jackson's fault. It was more than Lamar Jackson's fault. It was beyond Lamar Jackson's fault. The Chiefs played a basic bear spy coverage and forced Lamar Jackson to beat them through the air from the pocket, and he couldn't do it. He made a couple of nice throws, but he made a lot of mistakes. That game was only close, by the way, because in the second half, the Chiefs kept to the ground because they didn't want to give Lamar Jackson an easy field, a short field to beat him. They didn't trust him, and they were right, okay, because they knew Lamar Jackson couldn't throw from the pocket. Lamar Jackson still, against elite defenses, isn't that good from the pocket. That's a big issue for him. What's changed? Derrick Henry. Last year, Derrick Henry going to Baltimore changed the entire complexion of that offense, and it made them one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL with a brilliant offense coordinator in Todd Monken. Now, Lamar Jackson was able to look even more like an MVP because of that. And look, he should have won MVP, but I understand why voters didn't give it to him, because even voters understood that Derrick Henry added to his rushing element in a huge way. Lamar Jackson rushed last year for 915 yards. For those who don't know, that's his best rushing performance since his 2019 and 2020 seasons. So Derrick Henry going to Baltimore gave Lamar Jackson his best rushing performance in 4 years. That's a huge deal. Also, that happened at a time where the NFL defenses have sold out so much to try to stop the pass in this era of NFL offenses that the interior of their run defense is a lot softer than it used to be. That has opened the door for guys like Derrick Henry to have a huge impact. This is why the Eagles just won a Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley was a huge signing. There was a renaissance of running backs, and there was a market out there for people that focused on the run game. I'm a Titans fan. I can't get over the fact that my Titans blew up a dominant run game that they had to try to build a passing offense around Will Levis. That was stupid. It was right at the time that this was happening. Now, the interior of your offensive line is still more important than your running back if you're going to have an elite run game, but an elite running back does change that complexion. Lamar Jackson has both. So he's right. They are very close. The only reason they didn't win it last year was because Mark Jackson has butterfingers, okay? And if he doesn't fumble on one catch and then doesn't drop a 2-point conversion, I'm pretty sure Baltimore wins that game. And honestly, if Baltimore beats Buffalo, I actually think they might beat Kansas City the next week and go on to the Super Bowl. So Baltimore is honestly my favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. They were my favorite last year. And for those who don't realize, Vegas agrees with me. Vegas has the Ravens and the Bills. FanDuel has the Ravens and the Bills tied for the best Super Bowl odds at plus 700 apiece. They have the Eagles at plus 750. They have the Chiefs at plus 800. And they have the Lions at plus 1,000. I would put a lot of money on Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. They just missed it last year. It was a bit of a fluke that they didn't make it. Look, the funny thing about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, I didn't believe in either of them coming out. I'll just be honest. I missed on both of them, and they were in the same draft. But what helps them both is that they've gone to the right systems and they've gone to coaches that know how to maximize what they can do. And now the Ravens have done a great job putting a good supporting cast by Lamar Jackson. Okay, that's a huge deal, by the way, in the sense that they have a good offensive line. Like I said, they got a solid receiving core and their offensive line, and they obviously have Derrick Henry at running back, and Derrick Henry is kind of a freak in nature. All that happened was just kind of in a freak situation. Mark Andrews had a couple of bad drops, and I really think that if he doesn't have those drops, they go and they win the Super Bowl. Honestly, I do. I know that sounds crazy, but I think they genuinely go and win the Super Bowl. And now adding DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, no, I think that's a big pickup. Now, you can say he's washed, he's old. I disagree. Look, DeAndre Hopkins in 2023 had 1,000 yards receiving for the Titans. Last year, he had only 600 yards playing with the Titans and then the Chiefs. But what you're forgetting is that he was much better with the Chiefs and the Titans. He was held back because playing nearly half the season with the Titans and that horrible passing offense and that horrible quarterback in Will Levis, who goes out of his way to lose games for his team, as numerous Titans quarterbacks have done over the past 15 years, I want to add. I think that DeAndre Hopkins will have a bit of a resurgence this year, and I think he's going to want the ball. Look, having DeAndre Hopkins to throw to, who's a guy, by the way, you can throw up and hope to make a play. Having that, plus having a running back like Derrick Henry, who is generational and rare in an era where running games matter, plus Lamar Jackson's athleticism and Tom Munkin's creativity, is the perfect combination to go in the Super Bowl. So I think Lamar's right. I think that the reason the mindset has been different for him and the game's gotten a lot easier, though, is because of Derrick Henry. It seems slower to him. Here's why it seems slower to him. The existence of Derrick Henry hesitates so many defenses, and it gives him a lot more leeway to work with things. So I don't think he's fully right in why the game is slower to him. I think he thinks it's because of his experience, but I watched enough of him to know that if you force him to make throws from the pocket, he can struggle. But it's a lot harder to do that when you have Derrick Henry as your running back and Lamar Jackson having Derrick Henry as his running back, now having DeAndre Hopkins to be able to throw to and just chuck it up and hope that somebody else makes the play. That is a huge part of why I think the Ravens will actually win the Super Bowl this year, barring injury. I haven't made my picks yet. I'll do that later in August. But in the summer, right now, based on how teams are constructed, yes, no, I think the Ravens are a Super Bowl favorite. That sounds crazy, but I do think they are a Super Bowl favorite. I got no issues with what Lamar Jackson said. He's actually totally on point. And again, I say that as somebody who totally missed on Lamar Jackson and was totally down on him a year ago. And to this day, right now, I blame him for the Ravens losing that AFC title game to the Chiefs 2 seasons ago.